Well, that was some way to end Dynamite on Wednesday, but yeah, Dynamite was a good show on Wednesday. But thank you for joining me, guys, here on the podcast today for the AEW Dynamite review for the May 10th, 2023 edition of Dynamite. Solid show on Wednesday. Solid show. Um, of course, it's been Dynamite has been in has had a scene of decent shows the last couple weeks. Not terrible shows, but not great shows like we see from Dynamite or quality shows. But they've been decent as of late, and on Dynamite, Wednesday was a fine reset in a way, but it was a solid show. But well, with the news of AEW Collision, you know, starting in the summer, and with the talks about perhaps a brand split, per se, of the roster between Dynamite and Collision, in being CM Punk and just the overall bulk of the roster. What we saw on Wednesday, I think it could be very well for the roster. You know, we saw Miro. He made his little return to TV. Didn't say anything, but as soon as we saw him, we knew it was all business. And we also saw Thunder Rosa make her little return. They both went to Tony Khan's office. Um, and also with the news of possibly a new deal for Warner Brothers, Discovery, and AEW, you know, could really be wonders for AEW. I mean, just them getting, you know, new deal, first of all, that's a plus. Splitting the rosters, that could be a deal. Now, here's the thing about a brand split when it comes to AEW. They already have enough titles already. That's first of all. You know, with the world title, tag titles, trios titles, the women's world title, the TBS title, which really doesn't really serve a purpose anymore, I don't think. The international title, I mean, point is they have enough titles already. The TNT title, I mean, well, we'll see how it comes in the next couple weeks. But yeah, Dynamite was fun. The steel cage match at the end certainly was riveting with what happened at the end. Don Callis. Don Callis betrayed Kenny Omega in the main event when Omega had Moxley, beat after a brutal steel cage match, one winged angel, but Don Callis, I mean, I knew it. I felt it as soon as he got into the cage. Just felt it when Callis took the screwdriver from Moxley and, just like, excuse me, stabbed Omega in the head with it, allowing Moxley to get the win. I mean, some way to end Dynamite. But nonetheless, we'll go over all. Before we do, thank you for joining me. The subscription box there in the corner somewhere. Click to access all videos on the channel and notification bell. Final notification on the podcast. But yeah, thank you guys. Let's get going. Let's get started. So, Dynamite started off with the Blackpool Combat Club and Claudio Castagnoli versus Fenix. So, the Ring of Honor World Champion versus one half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. This was built as Double Jeopardy, where the winner would get a shot or at the loser's titles. So, in the sense that basically this was an eliminator match, really, on Dynamite. I mean, was a fun match. Obviously, Claudio Fenix deserved to be on Dynamite, but at the end of the day, they are holders of Ring of Honor Gold. So, in the sense, you're trying to separate the two, of Ring of Honor and AEW. This was not great. But nonetheless, it was a fun match to open the show. Of course, Fenix was flying all over the start after a lukewarm start, but Fenix hit some suicidas onto the outside on Claudio. And finally, Claudio dumped him on the barricade. Fenix fired back with a hurricanrana off the barricade to get the advantage back. Then they hit some chops in the middle of the ring. Fenix fired back with a big super kick and a spin kick in the corner, followed with a rolling cutter for a near fall. Fenix hit a moonsault to the outside. Claudio went for a powerbomb middle ring, but Fenix counted to a code red for 2. Claudio had a big move for a good near fall, and then Fenix tried to fire back with whatever he had left, but Claudio landed some elbows to Fenix's head, hoisted Fenix up with a Ricola bomb, 1, 2, 3, and Claudio gets the victory. So I'm guessing that two members of the Blackpool Comic Club will be getting a shot at the Lucha Brothers for the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles. I mean, you know, eliminator matches really, or whatever you want to call them, championship contenders matches. I mean, it's not for me, but yeah. No Ring of Honor on AEW. I think we gotta try to limit that. So then, Miro. Miro finally back on TV. Here's he was walking in the back, met by Renee, and she asked him point blank, why is he back? Um, or what purpose? Yeah, so he didn't say anything. He just went straight into Tony Khan's office, and there was that. So, no word spoke. I mean, Miro, last match, was that all out, I think. That trios match against the House of Black. I mean, that match, I don't know. Like, yeah, crazy. But Miro is certainly someone who deserves to be on TV. And I mean, whether it's Dynamite or Collision, I mean, talk about a guy who deserves to be have some direction. MJF, promo video package backstage talking about four pillars, explaining about how he was in the. Now it's been a while since we've seen any footage CM Punk, but he talked about his dog car match for CM Punk, comparing himself to his story versus Jungle Boy, Darby, and Sammy. And yeah, this is a nice little video package. I liked it. How they had a video package for all four guys tonight. It was a little different, one with MJF, one with Darby, one with Sammy, one with Jungle Boy. They were all shot well. I mean, they've done a lot in trying to build towards this match at Double or Nothing. And well, what else could they do? Simply put, tell a bit of a story more about all four in different areas. So then, if this was clearly the low point of the show, point blank. FTR, they're out there. They called out Mark Briscoe. So Then all of a sudden, Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, came out there. Um, you know, they were asking for a shot at the Double or Nothing for the tag team titles. FTR claimed that Briscoe, they're using Mark Briscoe to get at FTR, and Sanjay was denying it. Point blank, Briscoe, he was out there. Um, yeah, so Mark then easily said that the challenge has been set, or the match has been made at Double or Nothing. It will be FTR versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett for the tag team titles. And Mark Briscoe will be the special guest referee. So, I mean, again, the tag team titles situation is not. This was the only part I did not like about the show. I mean, because clearly why this match does not need to happen. I mean, FTR came back. Their first match back, they won the titles from the Guns, who we'll hear from the first time since losing the titles on Rampage. On Rampage. And their first match after, their first feud after, is Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal. Said before, I say again. You know, Jay Lethal's great. You know, this whole thing with Sanam Singh and Sanjay Dutt, I mean, he does not need it. He's great on his own. And, you know, yeah, Jay Lethal does not need this. Jeff Jarrett, he's in great shape. You know, loved him when he was in TNA. This go around, you know, he does not need to be on TV. Just does not. And that's the kindest way to put it. But anyway, so Mark tried to pull a truce. Had some cups, had some beverage for all of them. And you knew this was going to kind of get out of hand. So, after. So, they threw alcohol in FTR's eyes, and Mark Briscoe was trying to calm down everyone. And in the end, Dax, who was blinded, gave a pile driver to Mark Briscoe. this tag team division is not doing well. And it's hard to say. Really, how it's been since really he claimed relatively doing nothing. They won that silly Trios Battle Royal last week. And they have been basically living on Rampage. You got them. You got the Guns. Like I just mentioned, they're gonna make their first appearance since losing the titles on Rampage. I mean, not sure what to say. Oh, this tag team division has just not gone well. Then we got Sammy Guevara, his backstage uh, vignette. So, Sammy called himself the black sheep of the four. Said he wasn't supposed to be here, wasn't supposed to be one of the four pillars, of AEW. Talked about his journey, talked about, his road in AEW. I mean, Sammy, you know, is good on the mic. He's good when he tells a story. I mean, especially as a heel again, definitely works at it. So, next up we got Chris Jericho. He is backstage talking about Adam Cole. He said that he got legal counsel and that next time he's in the building from now on, Adam Cole is banned. So then right away we see Roderick Strong. And Roddy said, well, one thing he knows about Adam Cole is he's not a coward. And that the next, or excuse me, that someone who's not banned from the arena is him. So he laid out a challenge to Jericho not for a match, but for a fight. Call him out for a Falls Count Anywhere match next week on Dynamite. So Jericho said, Roderick, trying to make a name for yourself off Chris Jericho is a bad mistake, and that you better be careful because he has an army behind him. And Roddy said, funny how you mentioned that because I got legal counsel as well. And then next week, the JS is banned also from the arena. So next week, Chris Jericho versus Roderick Strong, Falls Count Anywhere. I don't mind it. Roddy, nice little spot for him. In AEW, to help build this feud. I mean, again, we're so I'm curious how further along Kyle Riley is as far as his recovery from his neck surgery. But, nice spot for Roger Strong, you know, paired with Adam Cole to help boost this storyline with Chris Jericho. I like it. Should be a nice little match next week. So then we got Orange Cassidy versus Daniel Garcia. This was Orange Cassidy's 22nd defense of the international title. And we saw no Wardlow this week. No mention of, Chris Cage in a promo mentioned about the TNT title. But, what I will say is that Orange Cassidy is a good wrestler. Orange Cassidy, no matter how much you want to say about the gimmick, what he brings, I mean, the dude can wrestle, and he can perform. You can't really take that from him. And the way he's kind of boosting this reign, I applaud it. Because the international title was not perceived at first as important. I mean, Pac won it in that great four-way match at Forbidden Door last year. And then, didn't do really anything with it. They lost it to Orange Cassidy. Didn't really look at it as a deal because of his gimmick. But, over the last number of weeks, Orange Cassidy is putting the work. And it turned out another good match with a good opponent in Daniel Garcia. Now, I guess the story was going back to that multi-man tag team match last week. But, nonetheless, it was a good match. So, back and forth. So, yeah, it was a good match. So, Garcia, he had big superflex off top rope for OC. OC still has his hand wrapped. I guess he's still favoring the hand a bit. I mean, it does seem a bit better look for him in a way. Just a thought but anyways, so Garcia, pile driver, OC fly out. He had beats break on Garcia for a 2. Garcia then locked in a crossface on Orange Cassidy. And I like that he's stomping at the wrapped hand of Orange Cassidy. And Very interesting. They rolled back and forth, and then finally, Orange Cassidy rolled up Garcia in a crucifix, and then 1, 2, 3. Orange Cassidy grind out the victory and beat Daniel Garcia, and was a good solid match for the two. Yeah. So next up, we got Christian Cage cutting a bit of a fiery promo on Detroit. Funny. So, you know, Christian Cage was out there to address why he's basically jumping the line to be the number one contender for the TNT title. So, because of his name value and what he represents in AEW, he said, it felt odd seeing Luchasaurus out to the side, I must say, but so Christian was met with a lot of Edge is better chants in Detroit. Now, and that ticked off Christian. So, Christian, first of all, he's going to go into depth about Wardlow's father. And, I actually thought, because of how Christian addressed Jack Perry's dad. But Christian was like, no, I'm not going to go into depth. I'm not going to waste my breath because, well, your father was not famous. He was not, worth the damn. So, no need to waste my breath. And he talked about Arn Anderson and Arn Anderson's son, saying how Arn's last wish really was to guide his son in the right direction. Saying, yes, for those who don't know, that Brock Anderson actually wrestles in AEW. Last I saw him, he was cutting a promo or something for Dark with Brian Pillman, which wasn't bad, but yeah, or Brian Pillman Jr., but then Chris talked about, well, I'm sure in the rearview mirror that Arn saw Wardlow and saw a better meal ticket for Mr. Anderson. So, basically, cutting to more about Arn and Wardlow, saying that Wardlow's days as the TNT champion are numbered, and then he was just getting riled up by the Detroit crowd. That was very good. And he said, Detroit, all of you can kiss my ass. So, great promo by Christian. It is obviously suspect when last match we saw of Christian was at Revolution, and he lost that final burial match. Jack Perry. Now he's getting a TNT title shot, perhaps. at Double or Nothing. I mean, yeah. Next up, we saw Darby Allin's vignette, which was, of course, different. So there's like a skateboard ramp of sorts. There's like a ATV a bit. Um, Showed at his home. Showed his dad. Talked about why he does, you know, so many crazy things outside of the ring. You know, and he just said, well, he does all this reckless stuff, to avoid the mental hurdles in his head. You know, it showed him like running over ramps with this like AT wheeler. I mean, this crazy stuff from Darby Allin. We heard some words from his dad about his reckless abandon. Um, and then at the end, Darby said, well, I'll lead him to being going to Double or Nothing and now being the AEW World Champion. This is good as well for Darby. And then this was impressive, I must say. We had Julia Hart versus Anna Jay, no holds barred. Next up. And I thought it was very done. Julia Hart's gimmick, her music, fit so well. I was, amazed. I was just amazed in how it went well. Anna Jay, she attacked Hart during her entrance with a chair. Basically no holds barred. They were going back and forth, throwing each other into the barricade, into the post. There's there was chairs being thrown in, trash cans used as well. I mean, this was done very well, I must say. And in the end, Julia Hart won. There was a pile of chairs in the middle of the ring. And Julia superplex Anna Jay onto his pile of chairs. And then walked in basically a Rings of Saturn like submission. And Anna Jay had no choice but to tap, and Julia Hart got the victory. But it wouldn't be the end for the House of Black on the show. Because, you had a feeling right then. Then we go to the House of Black for Best Amigos, really. Best Friends and Bandido versus House Black. This was shot well, the first open house match for the House of Black. This is good, the way they shot the spotlight onto the ring. It went well. You know, I mean, realistically, it's just good to see House of Black on TV. And if this a way for the house to stand out and be on TV more, then, you know, I'm for it for the start. So, you know, in the end, the house won here with the Dante's Inferno, but yeah, just the way this was shot well and overall good match um, between the house and the best friend. You know, I can totally see the best friends in Orange Cassidy down the line, just down the line, winning the trios titles, and I think it would be good for them three. Just, yeah, I can see it. Then we got the main events. Main events. Got the steel cage match between Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega. Chaotic to start. So, brought into the elites, the Bucks. I mean, so Brian Nelson was on commentary, and you know, Nick Jackson died on to Claudio and Utah, who were near the stage area, and bit of a brawl ensued with the Bucks and Moxley and Omega. They were on the outside. Omega finally got into the ring. Moxley was pissed off. Finally, they got into the cage and match started. But yeah, this brutal. So, you know, difficult to say, but so, you know, Omega got a barbed wire chair, you know, used that for his advantage. Same for Mox. I mean, you could see it. Omega, he put the chair on Moxley's back, stomped onto it, and you could see the blisters and stuff on Moxley's back. So it's like, you know, just how brutal is going to be a start. Moxley's head was bust open as you expect in a steel cage match. You know, Moxley then used a broken top turnbuckle or unscrewed top turnbuckle, tried to choke out Omega. Not the case. So one of the guys installed broken glass. I didn't see who, but broken glass was used in the metal ring. Omega went for the one-winged angel, but Mox countered to a rear naked choke. And Moxley was slammed back first on the broken glass, but still tried for the rear naked choke. Rosa. So this was the turning point, really, of the match, where you kind of sense of, okay, this is probably happening. So Moxley was he was towards the edge of the cage on the ring side, the opening side of the cage. Closer to the entrance area or the ringside area. So Omega went for a V trigger knee and so hard that it knocked Moxley through the cage, knocked open the side of the cage, and knocked them both out. Now Moxley was down. Omega, well, dicey situation. It looked like his knee might have been caught in between the ring, and you saw there was concern. Brian Danielson, I was concerned for a bit because, of course, we saw that thing last year when it happened when Brian he had his leg caught, in between the ring and the stage area that one time, and that was brutal just to look at. But luckily, it was okay after that. But yeah, it was a bit of concern. So anyway, Moxley somehow got a. So first of all, so Omega was tethering to his knee. Some might have been Dr. Simpson. Someone was tethering to his knee, and Moxley somehow got a screwdriver. So they were back in the ring. Moxley looked like he was about to drill Omega in his head with the screwdriver. And Don Callis got into the ring, into the cage, and was like, nope. Took it out. And then you could kind of sense, like, okay, when is it going to happen? So Omega fired back, hit another V trigger, went for the one winged angel, hit it on Moxley in the middle of the ring, and then you could just sense because Callis was still in the ring in the corner. And then 1, 2, Callis jammed the screwdriver over Omega's head. Omega's down. Moxley piled up 1, 2, 3, and Moxley steals the victory inside the cage. Thanks to Don Callis. Don Callis, they signed with the Blackpool Comic Club. I'm not so sure. But maybe there's someone else with, in collusion with Don Callis. Maybe. I mean, I don't think the BCC need Don Callis. Maybe because we saw Kyle Fletcher, attack Orange Cassidy and gesture that he wants a shot at the All-Atlantic title. Maybe. Just maybe. Because we're getting closer and closer to Forbidden Door. And All In. What if, just what if, this is a prelude to or build to K Omega for Will Ospreay Part 2 this year. We get the rematch, but Callis sides with Ospreay. Just thought, but nonetheless, it was a fun ending and a fun episode of the Dynamite. Yeah, that was how the show went off. But, thank you guys for joining me. If you like this video, leave a like, leave a thumbs up, help out the video and the channel. But, thank you guys all. See you guys next week for Aew Dynamite. Got some more matches to look forward to, but yeah. Thank you guys. Be safe. Peace.